So today, I'm going to be talking about the band Until My End and their debut album. So how long am I going to be talking about them? Well, until the end of this podcast on Tofer's Tunes. So this release is self-titled, just Until My End, and I remember listening to it. And the first two tracks, I'm like, yes, this definitely has some goth feel to it, and it would go well if they were playing at the asylum. Audio feed. And then there's about 9 tracks where they sound a lot like U2 or Maroon 5. I mean, they sound a lot like U2. Which isn't a bad thing, mind you, and I'm going to circle back to that. The last track on it, man, they got back. To sounding like a band that should be playing the asylum. They got back to that, kind of creepy, gothy sound. Now, then, as much as I'd like to focus on the first two and the last track, I want to kind of focus on the 9 middle tracks for this. Why? Because I really like that sound for them. I mean, granted, this is not one of the bands I would normally expect or want to check out. But I think if they did an acoustic show at the asylum, it would go over really well. And it's not totally unheard of to have a band do an acoustic set or unplugged set. Rustler, I believe, did one last year. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, Grave Robber did one. It's not totally unheard of to just have a band come in and do a, sit down, like, acoustic coffee house set. And I really think that Until My End is going to be, would fit in that acoustic coffee house sound. Uh, Lyrically, I liked them. My favorite song was Hallelujah, and it's not the Leonard Cohen or Rufus Wainwright Hallelujah. It's not a cover of that. It's a different song with that title, and I think that would have to be my favorite song on the album. And it musically reminds me, like I said, a lot of U2, maybe Joshua Tree-ish era. Like, the lead singer could cover a U2 song and sound a lot like Bono from it. And I think their sounds are that similar. Overall, what would I give these guys? Rating? I'd probably say 7.8, 7.9 out of 10. Because they were really good. They just weren't what the sound that I was expecting. I'd probably even willing to bump that up to 8.2. Or 8.5. They were really good. They just didn't quite have the sound that I would expect. No, for a band that would be playing the Asylum, unless they were doing an acoustic set. So next week I'm gonna do something just a smidge different. There are two bands that I've combined. I've been able to find five songs by them. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a twofer next week when I do that on this podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And until then, peace and God bless.